Good afternoon. I'm Myles Sergé, and alongside me to, I believe, my left or right, left, however you're looking at the screen, that is my co-host, Mr. Co-host, co-host, Mr. D-KNOX. Welcome to MS Live. What up, D? What's going on with you?
What is up, my brother? How you been, man?
I've been all right. My eyes are burning, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah. Uh, the smoke past couple of days from the Canadian fires kind of been doing some havoc to my breathing and my eyes. So
You hear that, Canadians? Please stop what you're doing. Is you about to ruin my homie's style like that you used to?
Yeah, man. So what's new with you?
No, I was hanging with Damon a little bit yesterday. Damon Wild, because he's over here linked up with him and his son, because I couldn't attend the party that I was supposed to do because of the emergency with the cat. My wife forgot that she that I had to show, and I have to get my cat medicine twice a day on a time thing, and he needs it. I was gonna try to go, but I knew that would be kind of risky because I knew it would be like too long that I would get back without him having it. So I just, I did the responsible thing and just, all right, guys, maybe we do it again in the future.
Right.
If not, somewhere else. It was supposed to be house music. So that's why I was like, usually I'm playing techno, but it'd be nice to play house sometime. But I saw some pictures that some people posted. It didn't look like it was that many. I mean, it was people there, but probably would have been more if I would have came. They put up a notice that I wasn't coming. So
right. Oh, what happened again? I mean, you've been there quite frequently, so
I played at that club in Postown about 3 times. Yasna all the time, but that one I played in that one before. So, but I was playing techno then. So
yeah. Well, that's cool. It'll come back, bro. So let's get this thing rolling today. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Make sure you do it. It's free. It don't cost nothing. It puts us up there in some rankings and hopefully get us to our goal of some subscribers so people know we're actually doing this thing and we're here. So hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And since we're on the subject, it's very important because we're trying to get to the stage where we can start to monetize things, hopefully, at some point to help keep this thing afloat. Currently, we have 677 subscribers to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000. So, like I said, if you can, go ahead, hit that like button, share, subscribe, let people know we're here. We're also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Same thing when you're there. Subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. So, we can get those numbers up too. Just in case you can't get to a phone or whatever. If you can't watch us, you can always listen to us.
That is Correctamundo.
What's that?
I said that is Correctamundo, people.
You can also follow us on Instagram, MS Live with D-KNOX, and on X, formerly known as that place called Twitter, at MS Live with D-KNOX. You can also email us, mslivewithdknox@gmail.com. We like to hear some feedback, things you like, things you don't like, areas where we can improve on. Shoot the crap, whatever. Just hit us up. We can reach us there. And since I said we're on the road to trying to get monetized, for the meantime, if you guys want to help support the show, you can donate via PayPal at mslivewithdknox@gmail.com is the email you use at PayPal. Or you can also simply scan that QR code that's up there somewhere in the screen and it'll take you right to the donation page. You can set up ongoing donations, one-time donations, all from that code. So PayPal, email address, or simply scan that QR code. Today, we have the privilege of having, I can say he's a New York legend. Just a legend overall, but basically definitely for New York. I remember seeing the name everywhere, and I couldn't pronounce it. I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. But I've seen it everywhere for a long time. He's been doing this thing
a long time.
for a long time, y'all. Not that he's old or nothing like that, but he's just been doing it for a long time. And probably back in 2012, it had to be later. At least about 10 years ago, I had the privilege to do a remix for one of his artists, JC Laurent, on his label Hidden Recordings, and that was kind of my first interaction, I believe, with him. And ever since I always see him. It was a great release. He puts out great music. The label's dope and all that. So that being said, I got a backstory to this too. So when we put you in, I got something to tell you about that. So welcome to the stage, Deepak Sharma.
Boys,
how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for the introduction. It's an honor and privilege to be with you guys, man. So,
well, thank you. Thank you.
Like legends, talking to two legends like you guys, man.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Lucky day, man. Appreciate that. So
yes, sir.
Thanks for that remix. It's still fire.
So when we get started, I get into that. I get into that first, actually. So, guys, if you've been watching the show, we do a title to each episode. This is no different. The format's gonna look a little different today, guys, because I'm trying something different. MS Live with D-KNOX Season 2, Episode 51, y'all. 5-1. Hidden with Deepak Sharma.
Nice.
So, my first question, well, I'll start off with this, and then I can get to where I wanted to go with this. So, tell me about the label. When did you start it? How did it come about?
Yeah. So, man, I think it was real organic, but organically, like, wasn't sure what I was doing. And so I was, it goes back a couple steps because I was a fan first, started buying records, DJing, and then I had this really unique opportunity to put out a CD. Remember those? A CD
Yes.
in this is like early 2000s. But even before I even became like any kind of a DJ or anything like that, I had this like CD in stores. It's kind of crazy and it was weird, but in a good way. And on that mix was a guy from Germany named Dieter Kraus, who we licensed a track from. I like the style a lot. So anyway, we became friends. We started working on stuff together, and this is doing like more like deeper stuff. And so we started a label just to release music that we were making. And so, but I had no idea how to it sounded cool to like have a label, but I didn't really know like in terms of like art, aesthetic, this type of stuff. Settled on a logo, but didn't really know like the ins and outs. Wanted to press vinyls, want to do this, kind of really trial by fire. A lot of it. Like looking back on it, some of it's a little bit like, whoa, what was I thinking there? But just kind of like, you don't know what you don't know. And then probably like it took a couple of years to really get the footing because I realized like we're just not making enough music to release. So it's kind of like got to pick some artists and pick some people that I'm playing out a lot and who I respect, admire, see them in record stores. And it kind of grew from that. And so I would say like really got the footing kind of around the time, a little bit just before where you got involved with your remix. That's when it really started I felt really good about the groove, the sound, the aesthetic, everything felt really good at that point. But it did take a minute to get there. So I think it was probably like 06, 07 when it kicked off, but really like 10, 11, 12 is when it was like full bore. Took a couple years off, life happens, kind of got back in just before COVID. And then that was also really nice because I was just putting out a bunch of solo stuff that did pretty well. So that's where, and then now it's been a couple years since the last vinyl, just because of like the cost of it and stuff like that. We're sort of mellowing it out on that a little bit, but we're doing a lot of stuff like individual releases, digital stuff. So always like kind of releasing music. So the label's kind of been around for 10, 12 years, but was almost feel like it's been like through 3 iterations or 4 iterations. And I feel really good, like kind of where it's at like now. And if, let's say we continue it, it's in a good spot to as a springboard. And if it chills out and then it's good the way it is the discography speaks for itself. People like yourself, on remix duty, a lot of names like that, like yours and stuff. So really, really happy with like the output and happy with like like where it stands, you know. And if we keep doing it, great. And if it's sort of this is it, it's great, because I think a lot of the records, people enjoyed them, so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. So the little side story for that, like, I don't know how it came about. I don't know if I was following. How did you and JC link up? What's the connection there?
Yeah, so JC, I was liking his music a lot. He's by the way, he's just the nicest guy in the world, and he's out in East France, and I just really liked his style. I liked it was deeper, it was groove based, but it was like good for the dance floor. It was minimalistic, but just really, really thoughtful. And so we just kind of became friends. And the next thing I know, I put out a record for him. And I forgot who did the remix initially on his first one, because it was also kind of like a bigger name. But and then we just started kind of working together more closely. I started putting records out of his, and I would ask him like, hey, are there people who kind of align? And I think that's how your name came up. I mean, I heard of your name and I was like, okay. So we kind of make a list, and then that's kind of was like, I just went through your catalog and went through your stuff, and I was like, oh, I actually have some of this. And then it was just like one thing led to another like that. So kind of like organically, but I always try to take feedback from the artist about how you want to remix your record. If you had like a dream list, and they go through the list, and a lot of times we actually accomplish that. Like, you know, whether it was Perk or you or Q or Fred P. I mean, it was a list, list kind of goes on, you know, and just like, let's give it a shot and see if we can work this out. And so, you know, that's kind of how it all happened with you getting that remix, and of course putting it on vinyl and it just makes it special.
Yeah, because I think I was following him. I think we had talked a few times, social media or something like that, and I think he hit me up and say, "Hey, I got this record. You want to do a remix?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I don't care." You know. So at the time, it was right before I was one of my Berlin trips, and at this particular trip, I was staying there for like a month, and it was either before the trip or during the trip or something. I can't really remember the exact details, but I do know I did the remix in Berlin at my friend Matt's house. Shout out to Matt. He has a label called Mass Records. So I was in his office. That's where I was camped out. And at the time, this is the time that the Detroit Lions actually made it. That we thought they were going to do something. I was like,
yeah, okay, yeah. So you had one eye on that.
Yeah, so I was overseas over there. I said, damn, I got to do this remix. So I did the remix, and I liked the remix. But right after that, I think the Lions actually won. So I was in this crazy mood. And at the time, it was late. And where I was, the part of Berlin I was, it's like really nothing around there. So I'm like, what can I do? So I started just making music. Like I did the remix first. I watched some of the game, and then I just started making music. So why I'm saying this, because that remix, me chilling, watching the game, and that whole thing actually birthed my label, Calder City Development Corp. Because that night I actually made my first record for Calder City is Translate, but it's actually me. I went on a fake name, and at the time I didn't know it was another Translate that was doing stuff, so we kind of hashed that out at one point. But it came out on the Translate, but I actually made that in that whole kind of session when I did this remix for you. So that just birthed to the Calder City now. So it's like a whole 360 thing right now. Because if you guys didn't ask me to do that remix, I probably would have never sat down and made that. I did the whole EP in like an hour for me. So if this didn't happen, the remix for you kind of birthed my label. So thank you.
Oh, man. I mean, what a story. That means a lot. I appreciate you sharing that. That means a lot. Yeah. I mean, you know, I think it's like this confluence of good positive energy from being in Berlin, the remix, the Lions, birth, got this going, you know what I mean? And you were inspired, man. You were inspired. So yeah, I get that too. Like those days where you could make a track or make an EP and it doesn't take very long because you're just so everything is working, man. You know. So but that says a lot about you too, though. You know what I mean? Just kind of grinding. Willing to kind of feeling it and then making moves and taking action and doing it, man. So
yeah,
that's I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, thank you. So. All right, D, what you got?
Well, what question I got for the man, because I want to know the deeds is, I want to know what your life is like on the day to day, every day, and I want to know what your life was like growing up. What kind of things you were into, what were you doing, other hobbies outside of music, like I said, or family life, the whole story of Mr. Deepak.
Yeah, man. I mean, so I was born in India. Just a good story to tell people because I was like an infant when I moved here. I have an older sister, and we grew up in Connecticut, so not too far from New York City. And in the household, dad was an engineer, and mom's a high school math teacher. Sister became a doctor and stuff like that. And it was Connecticut. I say this belovingly, is like it's a land of steady habits. So you're not really going to go. It's not super exciting, but it's also not super. It's not like dangerous or anything. The areas that we grew up in and stuff. So it was just kind of your pretty normal, standard suburban, kind of a childhood. I think the one thing that was kind of distinct was being of Indian descent, and there weren't a ton of that. There was definitely other Indians in town and things like that, but not probably what it is now. And so I think that was kind of a unique thing. And then the other thing was, in terms of hobbies and stuff like that, like big, huge tennis family. So tennis became like this kind of pivotal, I don't know, rallying cry. Like in my family, my sister played in college tennis. I played college tennis. It's like kind of in our DNA. So my two passions were always like kind of like tennis probably first, and then like techno came in later in life. But it was like always like tennis and techno were like the two things that I always just I'd get up at any time, and be excited to go to a club or play tennis. So I it was like that. And then I went to college in Virginia and I played tennis in college. So it was this big thing. Then I got to New York City, and that's kind of like really birthed the love for like techno and house, and listened to a little bit, of course, in college, but I think it was more so in New York City, trial by city. You just keep going out, you keep hearing things, and navigating and going to clubs. And for me, it was never like a phase. It was always when I got like the hook, it was like I want to do this.
Yeah.
And so I think you guys probably had those moments too. My moment may have been a little bit later than other people, but that's how it was, But when I got it, I got it, and that's kind of what started the whole thing on the techno side of thing, and then the tennis side of things. So my day to day, the last couple of years has been kind of crazy because I have been like a head coach for like college tennis teams, and so I've been on the road a little bit during the academic year the last couple of years, and now I'm like kind of trying to settle. I'm going to be settling just back down in New York. I've been in New York since '99. And then the last couple of years, like, cause I just love the job so much. I was like kind of traveling, still making music, still releasing music, but that was kind of like the primary thing. And now I'm looking for a little bit more of it's going to be like a bit more balance, cause I'm just going to be back in New York full time. So sometimes you have to like leave the city to kind of realize how much you appreciate and love the city. And so, yeah, I'm back here. So day to day is really all over the place when it comes to, I'll tell you what's most important to me. And I think that kind of structures the day and stuff. So of course, having a good job and all that type of stuff, but I think like being good to yourself, whether it's like through working out, meditating, community, friends, these are things that I value a lot. Like, the freedom to work on music, but then also to go to your job and work really, really hard, or like, I think these are things that are really important for me to be able to feel and have, and having all the touch points here in New York, like that's how I feel like fulfilled and balanced. So each day could be different, but knowing that, that you are doing something for yourself each and every day is like, it's a good feeling. Yesterday I was in a studio and it was a big creative day. Today I'm talking to you guys after just doing like going to the gym, and then afterwards I'm going to go see friends and watch a little bit of the World Cup, right? that's a full day. That's a good day. You know, it's a full
Right.
day. So I think that's what's, for me, it's just about the relationships, the people, and I think that's one thing that I loved about our community, the techno community, house community, is like going out to the clubs, and maybe you don't see the people every day, but then when you run into them, it's all good. You just kind of give a hug and get on the floor and dance around a little bit, you know. So
Yeah.
that fire never went away, you know, still there.
Right.
I'm not sure I even answered the question, but that's a little bit of like the arc.
Yeah. Oh, you got definitely more descriptive than some other guests we've had on the show. You
Okay. Yeah.
hit the,
All right.
So you mentioned the World Cup. Who you got?
I mean, who's it look like I got?
Yeah.
Take a guess. Let's go, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I got a story behind this, though.
You do?
Yeah. Let me
Okay.
see if I took it. So I played in Argentina probably 4 years ago, right before the World Cup in Qatar. And my first time to Buenos Aires playing a gig. I'd been to Cordoba before, but my first time playing in Buenos Aires, and it's through a group called Private Techno.
Mm-hmm.
And great crew, awesome crew. And I was down there, and I was like, man, I really want to. I was playing also in Asuncion. I was playing a great club called Tango, Victoria Musi. I think you know Victoria. And then also I was playing in Colombia, and so I was playing these gigs and kind of just spending some time. But I really hadn't spent that much time in South America, so I wanted to kind of spend a little bit of time. So I'm hanging out in Buenos Aires and fall in love with it, like the city and the people and the crew. And we're just having a great time, as if like we knew each other for a long time. Like I was like, we'll be friends for forever. But while I'm down there, I'm going everywhere. I'm going to these coffee shops, and there's pictures of like Diego Maradona, and there's like, you know, I mean, football is so big there, and it's like people talk about it until you actually go down there. And this is just before the World Cup was kicking off in Qatar, and everybody's just talking about how the team is going to do, and it's Messi, and it's this and this. Everybody's a little bit nervous, but everybody's super excited because I think they know that their team is pretty good. So, and the next thing happens, like I'm down there and just become friends with everybody, and then they got me this shirt. So, and it's like, and so I remember being at one of their houses, and we're playing some music, and I put the shirt on, and so it just became this like thing, and I just really, and then a full circle moment is just a couple of weeks ago, they're going to do like a VA, and they asked me for a track. So I'm going to be putting out a track for them, and it just so happens to be around like the World Cup as well. So we're back in touch. So, and the World Cup final is today. So I was just like, you know, I'm going to obviously cheer for them and so they're obviously going crazy down there and getting ready for the game. And so it's like this full circle kind of moment where 4 years ago, that's how I got the shirt, was down there in Buenos Aires gigging, just became friends with everybody. Much love to that crew and to those people. And again, like I could hear their voices, and I'd probably just start like kind of smiling and laughing. We just had a great time. You know how it is. Sometimes you just click with crews, you know, when you travel and get, you know. Yeah. And so just happened to be in Buenos Aires. The people, they were busy. They had their own jobs and lives and things, but they always accommodated, made time, and just felt at home there, and really appreciate what they did for me, and had a great gig. And then just enjoyed my time. And then just getting the jersey was very meaningful to me. I was just like, that's really sweet. And so I haven't forgotten it. So I just like, okay, it's cool. So now that, you know, it's the next World Cup, they're in the final. It's Messi's final game. And then I had to do this. I'm doing this track for the VA for them. And I was like, you know what? I'm going on the show. I'm going to represent.
Right.
So, you know, that's how I'm wearing this.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
That is dope.
South America, I've been to Argentina before. Played there once at Under Club. So I did that, and I've been to South America, there, Colombia twice, and then Paraguay twice. So, and my first time when I actually was in Colombia was around World Cup, and it was the first time they've been there in over like a decade. And I was down there, and they made it. So they made it to like 2 or 3 rounds, and then they got beat. I forgot by who, but like it's different. Like when you see like nations that actually embrace like football,
yeah,
it's like all over, man. You couldn't go nowhere. They had banned something, like you couldn't. It was something stupid that I thought was dumb. Like like flour. I think it was flour. For some reason, they banned buying flour because they were doing stuff with flour and doing crazy stuff with it. So what do you mean you can't buy flour? It was just crazy, but they were all into it, and like the whole nation just shut down. Like you couldn't get cabs, the buses wasn't running. It was just like we're all.
I mean, I think it's like, you know, Detroit when the Pistons were winning, or Detroit when, you know, but times it's the whole country. It's not just a city, you know. And I think I think it speaks to just maybe the culture and the fabric of like how passionate I think Latin America and when they find something that when it's part of their culture and how they are. And yeah, with the steakhouse in Buenos Aires, it's like how these like institution type places. The waiters are wearing this like shirt, and in Spanish in the back of their shirt, it was like basically Argentina is famous for or loves or Argentina is all about, and it was three things. It was steak because it was a steakhouse, which is true. Steak, wine, and football. And I was like, that's my experience. That's pretty accurate.
It's pretty
Steak, wine, and football. You know, And it's just, they just live life fully, and I think that's how, not just them, but I think all the Latin American countries, they embrace it. They enjoy it. They're very proud of their culture.
So where are you going to go and watch the game? Somewhere near, I guess, where you're staying, right? Because it's starting. I think the game's starting soon.
Yeah, just I'm on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, so just going to meet some of the guys and you know, some friends at this like local brewery just down the street. They'll have outdoor seating. They'll have the games on. They'll have the game on. Yeah. So I'm gonna be, you know, strutting around in my. I feel like I'm gonna look kind of a, you know, poser, but that's okay. I hear you know the story, but I'm gonna wear this proudly here and watch the game or watch some of the game or whatever we catch. And yeah, so it's just gonna be fun to kind of hang out. It's an excuse for community, right? Get together. Why does everybody love Sunday football games or this or that? Right. It's like you might love the game, but it's more about giving you something to look forward to and hanging out and community and friends. And I think because I've been on the road for so long the last 4 years, like something like this, which is not a big deal, feels really kind of cool. Even something like this, like talking to you two, like for most people, it's like, yeah, this is normal. This is kind of normal stuff, part of the job. But it's been a minute, so I'm loving it. It's like a chance to interact and talk music and talk to people.
Yeah, for sure. So my next question is like coming up in New York and this whole techno scene. I mean, what was like the landscape when you were coming up? Because you have like people like Damon and Adam, and that, and then from my outsider looking in, because I've been in New York like once or twice, but later I've never played there once, but just later in years, but just seeing it, like we always seen techno. From my personal experience, like I never really looked at like New York as far as like techno. It was always more of a house city to me. So how was that coming up in that time, like mid 90s, 2000s? Like what was the landscape of techno in New York at that time?
I mean, I got to New York in '99, and I think like what you're talking about is reflective even in my experience, because while there was like things like Adam and Damon, and even going back to even like Bunker, you got to give a lot of credit to Bunker for their experience, for what they were able to create and all that. And then there was other smaller parties that were going on, and so there was also, that was the time there was like a minimal sound was really, really popular, and kind of left after the progressive house sound. But you know, as somebody who was new coming into it, I just love clubs and music. I love probably more like clubs, because New York was very good about clubs. There was clubs like Twilo and Sound Factory, and this is on the heels of like Tunnel and Limelight. And so it was, for me, I was just enamored. I just loved it. I just loved like the clubs, and sort of through the whole Twilo scene is kind of where you learn a lot more about like the progressive house sound. But then there was like these techno nights with Carl Cox and Sven Väth and like all these other things that were happening, even big trance nights with Paul Van Dyk and all that. There's like every week, and then Deep Dish and all these different kind of artists were coming in. So my journey kind of probably started on that side, and then it veered into the techno side as I began to kind of play out more and gig more. I started getting a little bit more into micro house and minimal house. That's where I started learning about like labels like B Pitch, and then even like H Productions and some of the other like Sine Wave and all that. And I didn't really know that was a distinction. I just enjoyed hearing that music, seeing labels like that. and then playing opening sets and playing that style of music. And then I was booked to play later, or middle of the night later. And I remember like just working at a record store and like gravitating towards these like Carrie's record, H Production, and like all these different records. And I'm like, man, and then I just started playing those, and it was like labeled. This was techno, and then that's kind of like I kind of veered into that. And then it was like, well, who's doing these events and parties like this? Because the scale was like the other stuff I was talking about. But then you talk about like Bunker and other things, and there was all this big minimal scene that was there in New York. That's probably the house scene also. And then it kind of veered into more like, it's also reflective of the types of parties that were being played. Like then there was like warehouse parties, and after 9/11, and I think there they started bringing in techno DJs because I would say like probably it's also reflective of what's going on in Europe, right? So when there was a big progressive house scene, that's reflective of a lot of like the DJs that were coming over there, that were coming over. Maybe it was like the John Digweeds and that type of sound. And then you had the minimal house sound and tech house sound, which is very famous, like the Fabric and Terry Francis and Craig Richards and that whole thing. And then as things kind of evolved, I think actually probably the rise of, Trezor was always around, and it was Trezor, and then like Berghain probably in like the early 2000s, and then the residents of there started coming over to New York and started started opening up a little bit. They were getting booked, and so I think that's kind of how it kind of raised. But I think you're right. I don't think artists, and this is probably in Detroit too, techno artists in New York get the love that house artists in New York or other artists styles get love. And I think like that's probably true. There's a big exodus, people going to Berlin. You probably there's a lot of people from New York that went to Berlin. I had that option. I never did. I see that it definitely paid off for a lot of people. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool to see, and it's great and inspiring. But for me, I always just was like tied and connected to New York. I just really love it here. So I never really thought about leaving or moving. But that's kind of like my arc. And it's just kind of like you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Right.
And then you dive in, and I'm like, man, this is getting crazy. This is good stuff. And so that's where then, then it was later on Sonic Groove. And then when I started the label, I'm like, man, I'm playing all these guys, but I'm playing Jerome Sydenham, but I'm also playing Truncate, and then it's all kind of interconnected and intertwined. And so that's kind of like how things are like reflective even of like my label, you know what I mean? And where I have artists like you're on, and you're a techno DJ too, and I know that, but you and Q and Fred P are on the label, but then at the same time you have like like Perk is also then a mix for me, So it's like I kind of took all of the melting pot that was New York and everything that I was doing and like everything how I was DJing and playing, and incorporated that into a label kind of in real time.
Okay, cool. It's interesting that you said that you didn't go.
Yeah.
Do you think if you did go that things might have been different for you? Because a lot of people, like I hear, like especially from New York, I know in Berlin it's like a ton of people. Like my boy Lenny Postle's over there. A couple other people that are in Berlin or in Europe at some point. But then, they all said I needed to go. I needed to get out. I just wanted to do something different. But it's interesting from you. You said you didn't go. Now, if you think you can't predict what will happen or not, but do you think that it was probably a good move that you didn't?
I think it was like a couple things. I think for me, the move to Berlin or move to Europe, I was so fixated at that time of I was producing with Dieter. I wanted to produce on my own. So I was just working on my own production skills and skill sets. And whether I was in Berlin or here, it was when I got comfortable of like when I was putting out records regularly, maybe 10 years ago or so, solo. That's when I was like, maybe does the move to Berlin make sense? Because just to go and try to chase gigs, and like everybody in Berlin's a DJ and they're all good DJs. So they don't really need that. Right. So it's like so for me, but then once I got familiar with like, just making records and producing records, I was like, well, maybe this is kind of cool to kind of go over there once or twice a year and play. I do think though that there is a benefit of you because it's just easier to travel around Europe and gig, and there's more opportunity for income to gig in Europe than it is stateside. You know, stateside, you have a couple cities, you have a couple pockets, you can, even if you have a residency somewhere, but most of the lion's share, probably your income is going to come out of Europe. So it depends on, like, you know, understanding that side of it. But for me, it was like, I needed to really hone in on like just producing and focused on that. And if I went to Berlin, yeah, you could still do that. And I think that would have been helpful. It does open doors to different labels and different things out there as well, and make different connections. I think also, just like I enjoyed being in the city, I enjoyed my community and life here. I'm closer to my family's here. You have to be really willing to give up a lot and sacrifice a lot. And I think that I always kind of like, I was like, is there a way to make it work while in New York? Because I also really just love being here. And so I toyed with it a little bit. And I'm actually really glad that I never went. I don't have any regrets on that. Like, I really don't. Like, some people will be like, I should have done that. I should have done it. I remember talking to my mastering engineer at the time. We don't work together anymore, but like, just talking about, he's like, if you move here, it's just, you know, it's a totally different thing. And you have to be, I think, like, I give a lot of credit to everybody who's gone out to Europe, all our colleagues, my friends who've gone out there and like done that. And I don't think anybody's regretting it. But for me, I just wanted to see if I could make it work while being in New York. I mean, it's a direct flight.
Right.
So you get direct flight to Warsaw, you get direct flight to Berlin, you can get direct flights. You know what I mean? So if you're making enough music, and if your music is being played a lot, then maybe you just put yourself in some kind of, like, you know, faith that when you want to play out there, that people want to book you, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like you, man, I also didn't choose Berlin. I chose Warsaw because I had an option to live there too. I ended up choosing to stay over here in Poland instead. And some people did ask me too that question, do you regret it? And like, no, because it's just right down the road, actually. But I do get when you said that your mastering guy said that when you live there is a different thing when you're there day to day. You know, just simply because you can get to the record store faster or link up with people, you know, socialize. But it is an interesting story that you stayed in New York and yet you still played these places and traveled a lot. You know, people definitely know your name. It rings out. So you didn't, you know, you proved the point. You didn't have to go and live there. I think a lot of people did think, okay, I'll go there, I'm going to be playing, and, you know, like the same Hollywood type of thing. And some it did work out for, and some it didn't as well.
I think the people who it worked out for, it might have worked out for them, whether they moved to Berlin or they stayed in New York or wherever it was. It might have worked out for them anyway, but it may have accelerated things and kept things. I think what it does, I think what Europe does is if you're in the circuit, if you're in it, it keeps you more consistent because you're right there by proximity. Mm-hmm. And so your name, while people might know your name from the States or from Asia or whatever, you're not in arm's length, you're not in proximity. So I think once you kind of get into the circuit and you're living in Berlin, it's like, yeah, I could just call up so-and-so now. It's like, and there's so many great DJs. That's why they don't really need, Europe doesn't really necessarily need DJs coming in from from North America or Asia, because there's such a concentration already there. So I wish, the one thing is, I think, like, if I was in Europe, perhaps there would be a little more of a frequency, or there'd be just more volume of opportunity or gigs on a consistent basis. I mean, I think that's kind of, maybe it's Captain Obvious, but like, I think that's what it is. Whereas being over here, it's just, and you guys know this, when you guys being over here, like, it takes a little bit more to set up a tour or to set up a schedule, or it's just a little bit harder.
Right.
But when it's over there, even if it just means that you're hanging out, I'm hanging out with you in Warsaw, and like, maybe I don't have a gig there, but then like next time I come around, there could be something at one of the clubs there. You know what I mean? And but that takes groundwork and legwork. Whether if I'm only there for like a month or a couple of weeks, it's not as easy. If you just live in Europe and you're just like, man, I'm just going to bounce out to Warsaw for the weekend, if they have a good show there, and meet some of the people that help with bookings or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So that part I probably missed out on, and that's understandable, but I mean, I played where I wanted to. I mean, I still want to play, and I'm ready to go. I mean, put me in, But like it's, but because you see you can play, and you see the reactions, and you see the responses, and you can do it, you can handle it, and you love it, and you want it, and you just want to keep, But at the same time, it's like things just shift and change, and it's out of your control. But the best we can do is just be ready and prepared for when our numbers are called.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you gotta stay sharp.
Gotta stay sharp.
That's true.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So what's the current state of techno in New York right now?
I think it's really good, man. I mean, I think New York is like, it's really, really good, dude. Parties are going later again. It reminds me a little bit of when I first got to the city, and it was a little bit of this like kind of gritty, like reckless lawlessness, but like kind of I put that in quotes because it's still not as like completely wild, but it's pretty good, man. I mean, like parties, you can go to warehouse parties, parties are going nonstop. You have clubs dedicated to like the techno sound now here. They're just playing that. Like even back in the early 2010s, the teens, like Output was a club that kind of was doing techno nights. And then, so that was like a club that was like kind of really concentrating on those types of nights and that type of sound, underground sound, and it kind of blossomed out from there. And there's a lot of opportunity now, not necessarily to hear great music, great techno music every week, week in, week out, in extended parties that are going through the night into the afternoon, warehouses, clubs to warehouses, all this type of stuff. I just think it's a really great time, man. I mean, I think everybody who comes here, even our friends from Europe, they're like, this has got a real Berlin vibe. This has got a real underground Paris vibe. That's kind of what I'm hearing. People are loving it over here, man. I mean, the festivals here, they're catering to techno and house now. The queer scene drives a lot of this, and we have obviously a huge population here, so they have their parties are unbelievable. So there's just, I think there's an energy that New York has always had, and now it's coming to the forefront, and it's as consistent, if not more consistent, than like all of the stuff that maybe we're experiencing in Europe, And so I mean, you go to RA, man, you're scrolling, so it's kind of, and that's not just techno, but that's like house, and there's like, and not just summer, but there's just a lot of stuff going on, and I think that's what makes it great. I think it's a really good time to come to the city, to be in the city, to like go to the parties, the festivals, boat parties, all this. There's something, man, going on, rooftop parties, and any genre you want. And I think it's thriving. I think it's heavily in Brooklyn, but there is stuff out in Manhattan too. But whenever I go out to Brooklyn, either it was to gig or even just to go hang out, I kind of feel like I'm like a tourist in town, man. I mean, it's like kind of. I used to live out in Brooklyn, and it just feels different and it looks different, and there's just a great energy. It's relentless with great, the food, the bars, everything, the nightlife. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it's really good here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out. I don't know. I've been hitting up those people at that basement place for a while. I don't get
yeah. And this is a good. It's a good point. I mean, like I play there a couple times, and they're good to me. But it's just kind of everybody has their, how they see things, and clubs. They, 1 minute you're like there, next minute you're not, and it's like it's not in your control. It's kind of tough that way, because it's like it's like you didn't do anything wrong. In fact, your discography warrants maybe this or this or this, but that's not necessarily what they're looking for.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They're looking for like other things, and it's like, and then I had 2 gigs there, but they were like, one was before COVID and one was after COVID. I mean, I probably had like the widest spectrum of like dates there, and you can know all these people and you can be friends with them and have great relationships, but they have their. And you just have to respect it. They just sort of have their how they see things, and it's it's like their call, So that's not like a bad thing. It's just you gotta stay ready. You gotta stay ready, because you you get that call and you have a great experience, or people have a great experience. Next thing you know, it could be you in rotation, you know?
Right.
It's a funny thing. It's a fleeting and funny thing. And I've never really figured it out.
I don't think anybody. It's just what it is, you know what I mean?
I've never, you know, all you can do is really the controllables, right? The controllables are just like, be prepared, you know, hone your craft, make music, release music, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know, keep telling people that you're around and you're available, and just, you know, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's where it's maybe where if you're in Europe, living in Europe, it's a little bit easier. Let's say you're like months without a gig. Man, maybe you take some time to go out to Warsaw and just hit the clubs, and you stay with D for a couple of days, you know, or you're in Berlin and like you kind of maneuver that whole thing because you spend a couple of hours there at certain clubs or certain things. You just run into everybody.
Right. That's true. Very true.
Or you go to Movement. You go to Movement, right? And you hang out at Marble Bar at 8 a.m. Next thing you know, you're talking to everybody, and you know,
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, you hit the hammer right on the nail, because a lot of people miss that when you said stay ready, and that's just simply meaning, guys, if you make your music, just make it. If you're DJing, you know, actually, I'm not gonna say practice, but like have fun mixing your music. You know, make mixes like Myles does. He makes mixes, he puts them up online. And just in the act of doing that itself, you'll be busy with that. You won't even be thinking about no gigs, and it'll just come to you. But I do know when some people, when you're not in it and moving that energy, because that's actually moving the energy to make things happen. Sitting down in that chair and making stuff. Even if it's the same science formula, because I remember in the past starting like that. When I was in those times, like you, sitting up for the whole weekend making music, the gig was the last thing on my mind. In fact, sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes it was a annoyance sometimes, because I wanted to actually work on music, and then, oh, you got to go to Switzerland next weekend, or you got to go. I was like, dang, I was counting on getting those tracks done, but now I got to go fly somewhere and play. But that was just sometimes back in the days. But it's just interesting that you said that, and I just thought about that, yeah, stay ready. You know, it just simply means just be in the groove all the time, create the energy to make things happen.
Look, it's in, whether you're gigging a lot, like it's or not at all, like it's in your DNA at this stage, at the, you know, in our lives, and it's who we are. So I just think, like, you know, yeah, just be prepared, stay ready, you know, be professional, and it actually it actually goes into like the freedom thing I was talking about before, which is just like there's freedom in knowing that, like, okay, whether there's gigs coming or not, but like how I see myself, right, and how I treat myself, and I'm a professional, so I need to be professional when it comes to how I approach my DJing or music production and finding time for it. Does that mean that like I don't get caught up with some of the other stuff that some other people do? Of course, that's natural, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's just human nature, right? But it's just about this idea of like how you identify, and like whether you're touring 20 gigs a month, 15 gigs a month, or not at all. But if you just pay attention to the details and just prepare, you feel, even if it's just mean like going through your vinyls and like taking off the dust, it's take an hour. You'll feel great afterwards. You know what I mean? Or if you're not like producing, but you just do it and you just turn on something and just create a little loop for an hour, half an hour. Like, it doesn't have to be these 12-hour things. Just a little bit, right? Keeps you prepared and keeps you ready. And then, hey, you got a friend DJing. Like, I think you were out recently in Warsaw, you know, or Damon's in town, and you're going to go check them out and hang out with them. Like, yeah, go hear some beats, catch up with a friend, catch up with a colleague, or get on, you know, doing something like this. Probably does something a lot, hopefully, for you guys. But no, for me, it does a lot for me for inspiration, motivation, keeps my blood flowing. You know what I mean? So then you know, go check out a night. You know, there's
Damon actually lives over here though.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he lives in Warsaw. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, because you know, knowing that you're of Indian descent, do you keep up to date of what happens over there as far as events, parties, and the scene?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of I think India has turned into, in the last 5 years, 7 years, like kind of like a main, you know, it used to be maybe you go to Asia, you go to Japan, maybe Korea now, has a couple places in Korea. But I think India, man, I think India has interest, has energy, has passion, has volume. You can play, man. You can play in Delhi, you can play in Mumbai, you can play at beaches, you can play. I mean, it's not just like, you know, Goa with the trance and so that stuff is still there. But I mean, there's techno all over the place. There's artists now playing from India, playing in the big clubs in Europe. There's big Indian artists of Indian descent. I always felt like Indians, and I think everybody maybe feels this way, but I always felt like Asians and Indians, we didn't really get our like as much credit as there's some big artists that are doing some big things, you know, closing down big venues in Europe, flying over, doing festivals in India, bringing over like a lot of big European names and stuff like that. I mean, I think like the Indian scene and Indian producers and DJs, I mean, there's I mean, I can list 10 right now that are just like unbelievable. And
so please list them. Please list them. I'm curious to see who you.
I'd say like, you know, Emotic in Berlin is probably, you know, he's also a dear friend. And then up and coming Decoder, I think you've had him on your show, really nice guy. And then in India, like Dat, he's a really nice producer. Arjun Bagal is kind of like Indian legend a little bit, like kind of been, because I think he did stuff. He was probably, I mean, I think he was doing stuff on like, what was Adam's label? Why am I drawing a blank on the big
Sonic Groove?
No,
Sonic
not Adam. It's Adam Bayer's label. What's the name of it?
Drum Code.
Drum Code. So Arjun, I think, did stuff on Drum Code back in the day. Audio units, doing really, really good. Like kind of like.
Oh, he did audio units too. Okay.
Audio units is a duo in India.
Yeah.
That like they're great DJs and producers. So those are just a couple of names right there and stuff. But I think those are like Indian based. I think Dakota's in Berlin now. Emotic is in Berlin now. So you're starting to see those guys really those guys have always, I mean, he's been very consistent and Dakota's kind of taken off now and all that stuff. So I think like there's a lot of, it's coming around. It's coming around. That's not even, you know, so I think it's good. It's good to see. It's good to see it kind of spread a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
good. It is good because have some plans to go there someday and do some gigging as well.
Well, so I mean, the audio units guys are amazing, amazing producers, amazing people. Happy to make an introduction, you know, and all that.
No, the more people I would know over there, the better, because if I'm there, it'd be nice to link up with them and you definitely do some music. Do you know if there's any guys over there making more of like a Detroit, like Kalamazoo sound in a way?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, these guys are definitely influenced, you know, for sure in their style and their sounds from Detroit. I'll have to look into that a little bit, but I know that that's a whole market, and this is for any DJ, because I know we think a lot about Europe, but expand your horizons a little bit. Be willing to go out to India. Be willing to go out to South America. I think Colombia and India are very similar, where you can actually gig. Okay. You can act, and Colombia is like kind of like reminds me of like Germany. So Colombia, Germany, like where you can actually go to one country and probably do a tour just in that one country of like maybe 6 cities. Like India, I think is like on that level. Germany, obviously, and then like you look at like Colombia, it's the same thing. You go to Colombia and you can just play for 3 straight weekends just in Colombian cities. I think, you know. So I think like the scenes there are really strong, and I think India is kind of like similar in that regard. Maybe not as polished as maybe perhaps Berlin or as Germany and Colombia, but there's definitely an eagerness. And I think for artists and DJs too, we should definitely in your outreach include like India, include outside of Europe, because that's also how things catch fire. You know, next thing you know, you'll be gigging a lot in India, and then next thing you know, China and Korea, and there, you know, you've been gone for a month, you know, playing out there and stuff. So see more things popping out in Australia too a little bit, and that's cool. So I think for us, we'd stay ready, and then be ready to hop a plane. And you know, it's not just Europe, you know, it's just like it's gotten really, really global with this whole thing.
Yeah.
See, Myles, that could be cool if we go on tour together, the MS Live duo,
dope,
and playing, and then do some interviews over there too with the show.
Yeah, we'll see for sure. So coming up, like you're doing this whole come up through your career and DJing, producing, and stuff like that. What was like the greatest what was the biggest setback you ever had coming up in this whole techno thing?
I think setback, I think some of it was personal, in terms of I went through it's really tough. It's 2015 was a really tough year for me personally. Went through a really bad back injury that sidelined me for a long time, and at the same time I was going through a tough time. I was getting divorced and all that, and I was just struggling mentally. I was struggling a lot, and that kind of definitely pulled things back artistically and musically for a while. So I think I took myself out of the game for a little bit, and I think once you do that, it's tough to reinsert. I think that I think some of the setbacks, I think I tried everything. I did everything. I don't know, man. I think some of the setbacks can just kind of be, you know, sometimes we don't get a gig, or we don't get this, or, you know, we don't, and we can take that personally. We can take that hard, you know? And so this gig, you waste so much on it. You don't get the gig, you waste so much on it. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten better about just kind of taking everything in stride and rolling with it. I think setbacks, I mean, I think in New York too, just it takes a while to set up your studio and to kind of figure out your workflow, and you don't have a ton of space here and stuff like that. So you're just dealing with the New York City kind of lifestyle that can be a setback. Financially, you know, you always have to you still have to afford things. So it's always, you know, you're working one thing here, you're doing one thing here to take time away. I think kind of the personal side of things, and then those things can kind of, because you just know, you know what I mean? You can sit in front of the computer, or you can sit in the studio and try to work on stuff, but you're just distracted because either you're physically unable or physically in pain, or you're just mentally distracted and just, you know, and you're not there. So it doesn't quite work, you know? Yeah. So you gotta be in the right headspace, I think, for some of this stuff. And you gotta be, you know, headstrong for some of this. And I think it takes, and that goes up and down, you know what I mean? And with maturity, you learn probably to take things more in stride. But I mean, I've had plenty of setbacks and missed opportunities and this type of stuff, but I think we all have. I mean, I think it's just about waking up every day and just having the right attitude about it, and just kind of taking everything as it comes and in stride, and just kind of doing your best, knowing that, you know, you may not get the release or get the booking or get this, whatever, but you can still feel good about it. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think a lot of people, we've been asked, that's at least one of my questions I've been kind of asking people, because it's always from the outside looking in, people always think this whole music thing and DJing and stuff is this all fun and glamorous and nothing, you know, it's a lot deeper than that. And I think you don't hear about that, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what my line of question is, because I think some people just don't understand, you know, it's more to it, you know, than just glitz and fam and all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, what you see on social media is why that's on social media, right? But you don't see the hours of work that gets put in, or the blood, sweat, and tears that go into something, or the rejection, all the dozens of rejection emails you get for that one that says, yeah, we'll book you, or whatever it is, you know. And I think people don't really understand that side of it. It's the same thing in any, I think, professional. It's it'd be amazing to be a professional baseball player. Yeah, but you don't realize how many pitches this guy threw, man. Growing up, you know, or what it was like growing up in, You know, he made it, but you know, he grew up here, and how they all did that. And I think, like, you know, things get skewed a little bit through the social media lens, and I think we have to DJs promote what needs to be promoted, and they do a good job with that. And I think sometimes also behind the scenes stuff is also important to see, because be careful what you wish for, man. I mean, I think there was a month I was playing quite a bit, this was, you know, a couple years ago, and by like the 6th or 7th gig just in a month, which isn't even that lot, as much as like some of the other artists and people are doing, I was like, man, like I don't really even get to enjoy what I actually enjoy about the party, because I have to get like to the hotel and to my stuff into the airport, because I have to make the next one. So I missed out on like what I actually thoroughly enjoy about going out and like hearing a DJ, you know? And so I think like, yeah, I think it's like, it's not all glamorous. I think we all yearn for some level of like balance, validation, and recognition. And I think a gig does that. So I think that's where sometimes people put a lot of weight on it. But that's also what about like producing, or just about doing shows like this, or doing stuff, is how do you contribute to the greater good of like our community and our scene. Mm-hmm. And some people right now are hot, so they're DJing 20 times a month, so that's their contributions. Other people are producing a lot, that's their contribution. That's kind of like, I think, where my contribution to the community and scene is by producing and putting music out and working with PR companies to kind of get it out to like people who are playing a lot of these gigs. So people are doing shows, like you guys are doing shows. This is your contribution to the community. You know what I mean? Shedding light on artists, producers' mindset, just having conversations like this. This is one of your many contributions. I think you just have to find your contribution to the greater good of the community, knowing that it may not necessarily be a gig every time. You know what I mean? Right. So there's ways to like look at things in a really positive way, even if you're not on social media with 100 people, thousands of people screaming at your gig. That's only like it looks like it's not a fraction, but that is only part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not all. It is fun and it's fast paced and it's all that, and we all enjoy it. I think it's also I don't know, man. It's the grass is always greener. Is two sides to all stories, right?
That's very true.
I like to be careful what you wish for, because you could be. Yeah, I want that. And oh, wow, I didn't realize I didn't like the traveling part, or I didn't like this thing. I don't have enough sleep or enough healthy food because of moving around so much, dealing with strange people, because just the 2 hours that you play, that's the great part, because you're like, oh, this is fun. But for me, I know sometimes the other stuff involved. Sometimes I don't look forward to it when it was coming to DJing, like doing traveling. Sometimes, like you said, Friday night here, tomorrow somewhere else, and I didn't really get to enjoy the party. And I was turning it into work, sort of thing. So how to find that balance of kind of like Rob Hood does, where his rule is I'm only playing out like a couple of times a month, and that's it, no more.
I think that's the utopian world, right? I mean, you can balance in your personal time, you get your gig time, you can set up your tours, you have your studio time. There's a handful of artists who are able to kind of like do that, where they're actually declining gigs and like, I'm off this month, or I'm off these 2 weeks. And there's other DJs who just feel like maybe perhaps I'm in the circuit, I gotta keep the momentum going. But someone like Robert, you know what I mean? Like he's to have some longevity, I think you need to be able to kind of figure out what your balance is between all these different things. And some of these guys have kind of like figured that out, and they're at that level where they can kind of pick and choose what they want to do and how they want to play. And if they want to play 10 gigs a month, they probably could, and but they choose not to because they have other things that are going on, and it keeps it fresh for them. And I think that's where their longevity comes in, so hats off to those guys, you know what I mean, who are able to kind of like build that out and do that.
Yeah. So speaking of workflow, what's your production style? What's going on in the lab over there?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's really minimal. It's really minimalistic. I mean, I use like Moog's DFAM, and I love that semi-modular for just all of, even from my like just all the sounds that I'm creating. I was like kind of just toying around yesterday. Came up with something pretty good, and then use Reactor. Enjoy using Reactor, and then I have they have some good effects in there, and they have some good things I like to use, spatial stuff. Valhalla is really nice plugin just you know what I mean? So I think less is more, which is kind of reflected maybe in the style of music that I make anyway. But it's like just a couple of things here and there, and then just do a couple of things and make it nice. But for me, it's about patience and rhythms and polyrhythms and groove, and keeping it kind of like rolling and heavy, and almost like I like the Thule tracks. You know what I mean? Like those ones that are just kind of like hard groove Thule, like groove based percussive that you can just roll in, and everybody's just like, it just keeps the dance floor jumping. You know what I mean? But there's not huge changes, just heavy.
Right.
Just heavy. Loop. Yeah.
It's a loop. Yeah, just heavy stuff. Bring the heavy. So that's kind of like, so the setup is that Arturia. I have an Arturia keyboard here. And so, right now, just besides this track coming out on that label in South America, in Buenos Aires, I do a project called DSC, and I'm working on my next batch that I'm trying to release probably beginning in September or October, which will be 4 tracks, but 4 times 4 per year. So each kind of quarter of the year, I'll be releasing like a 4-track, just, digital, like kind of EP. And I call these DSCs, and I have them numbered. So I'm up to 36 now, which means I've done 36 tracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 36 tracks. So 37 to 48, or maybe 37 to whatever, 16. I can't do the math, but whatever that is, like that's kind of what's going to come out for the next output. And that's what keeps me like excited, So maybe I'll send you guys the selections, and you tell me if there's anything that pops for you guys. You know what I mean? Because I always try to get feedback.
Do that. I'd like to do that.
I was always real nervous about this. I was always real nervous about sending my stuff to like my colleagues that are, in the scene and playing a lot, and because I was just like, man, in my music, I don't know. It's like, but now I'm like a little bit more at peace with it. So I always, sometimes I'll send stuff out to friends, and they'll be like, so what you think, but they won't reply to it. So that means I know they didn't like it, and not they didn't like it. So like, really appreciate you sending these. Looking forward to the next batch. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? You didn't like any of these ones. They'll be like, and I always number it. So 202 and 201 really sound good. I'm like, but you didn't like 203. Come on, man.
Right. It's always like that though. So I mean, like. I used to say, I saw Dano some stuff before. You get some positive feedback, but sometimes you be like, man, you don't know what you talk about. You know what I mean? So you gotta.
I'm releasing it anyway, man. I'm releasing it. You don't know, man. I'm releasing it anyway. And it's like, well, you just asked for my feedback, and and then but what's good about that though is once you get comfortable with that, which I think is like a big part of production and being an artist, is like being able to send stuff out and being accepting of the fact that this may not be a fit for everyone, and being okay with that. That's
true. That's very.
You have to learn that. You have to have a thick skin. You got to learn that, I might send D something, and he's going to love this EP, all 4 tracks. And I send him another thing 2 months later, and it's crickets. It doesn't work for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that I forgot what I was doing. It's just, it's about more what he is as a DJ and as an artist.
Right.
You know what I mean? What he needs versus like the actual reflection of like, this is poorly produced,
Right. I got a question for you from Instagram. So this is my thing at my last. I don't know. We try to do things a little different. So I got the Instagram thing because it doesn't come directly in the things that in the window I'm in now. It's like another window to Instagram. So a friend of mine, Dave. What up, Dave? He wants to ask you a question. He said, "What's your favorite synthesizer and your favorite drum machine?"
Drum machine. I mean, probably just like the TR-303, and then I use the Moog synthesizers, but usually just the DFAM, the semi-modular here is what I'm using right now. So it's not the because I get all the sounds that I need really out of this as for output. So it's not the most probably interesting gear answer, but it's the honest one. That's what it is for me right now. Yeah.
Right. All right, Dave. I hope you got the answer to the question.
I would say, I don't know, but so yeah, I would say like the Moog products is where I lean in on for synthesizers, and then I think the last drum machine is just the 303.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I'm pretty much. I've gone back into the box nowadays because I've always been to Ableton. Well, no, first it was Fruity Loops for me, and then I jumped to Ableton because of Jazzy Jeff. I watched a video of him making music in Ableton, and then it was Ableton for the longest. But then I got some hardware again, so it was a hybrid system. But now I've decided to get rid of the hardware and just use the iPad and more of the iPad, the phone, and the computer with Ableton. Just because I sampled everything. I even have I sampled my old studio in Kalamazoo as well. So I have all those samples to use on the computer, But it's just I'm liking the easiness of this because whatever I have on my iPhone, since using iCloud is clever that I can just have that on the phone too. So if I'm out and about, if I start something on the phone, I can come home and finish it like you could in Ableton Note as well. But every single app that I have on the iPad, where there's a keyboard, synth, drum machine, or a full system like Koala or or something, I just open it up on the phone and it's the same sound, same song. So for me, that's what I've been up to.
Yeah, I think it's like this inbox out of the box, like hardware, and for me, it's a little bit of this combination where, like, I'll get some good like bass groove sounds out of the Moog, the D-Fan, but then also hardware like Reactor was able to kind of synthesize a kick over time, and so I'll layer those. So I'll do a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Where it's like you have like the kick from Reactor, and then like maybe some bass groove, bass sound. And even like almost like a kick, but it could almost be used as like kind of you shave off some of the low end, more like a groove tom type of sound, but you kind of create it how you want it for that particular track. So it's a little bit of a combination. And I think also, I'll say this, like being in New York too, like you're limited with space. So I think a lot of producers, you have to be really mindful of that. You don't have a ton neighbors and all these. It kind of impacts how you perhaps build out your studio versus like what it was maybe back in the day where it was so hardware focused.
Exactly. It was straight up hardware, like no computer at all involved, just a sequencer and mixing board and whatever I had at the time. But I will be keeping my Moog though. I have to keep my Moog Minotaur because the bass. I have a lot of good like bass apps. They're close because I have one from Moog too. That's pretty. Nobody would know on a dance floor if I use that Minotaur or that iPad app, for the basses. But it's just something about that Moog Minotaur, man. It's so warm. So I said, okay, it's small. Plus, it was a gift, so someone gifted it towards me. So I have to keep that one at least.
There's something gritty about it. There's something a little bit raw about it. There's something that's a little bit textural. Whenever I hear, like, for example, whenever I hear the opening credits, opening for Stranger Things, a TV show, I get chills. I don't know if that was what that synthesizer is, but I get chills of like that sound because I think it's, I don't know, there's a purity in it. You know what I mean? It's clean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clean in its dirtiness, and it's like, it's very, very. I'm not sure if that's from an. I don't think that's from an app, but I don't know. There's something about that sound. Yeah, I know what you mean. So like that keep that raw, keep that gritty. what you mean.
Word. God, for me right now, I think my favorite synth is probably DX100. That's probably the synth that I've owned the most. I think I'm on my third right. So, and I'm not selling this one, so I'm keeping it. So I keep that, and then drum machine wise, I love the 808. But then my favorite, like especially in sampling for like a clap, is the Casio, the RZ1. So I like that drum machine. I like the sounds in it too. So, but yeah, that's from that. I think my next purchase would be my third. Also, I'm trying to get another Korg Poly 800. Right. I had one, I sold it. The second one I bought it, and then I bought it like dirt cheap because the battery was going out, and then they lost the actual sounds in it. But I found a way to get the battery and the sounds in, and I sent it off to get fixed, and it came back. I don't know. I sent it off in the wintertime and went to somewhere out in Minneapolis or something. It came back, it didn't work, and then I opened the case. It was just full of water. So I think it was something with the condensation or whatever. I don't know, but it was full of water, so I lost that, and then I ended up selling for parts. But now I'm eyeing a couple right now, so that's probably maybe my next purchase, I think.
Yeah. So your studio, I mean, it's pretty robust then with some of the hardware as well. And are you mostly hardware then, or do you still
both? To be honest, like the hardware stuff is there, but like it's easier for me just to turn on like Reason. Like I got a laptop, I got like Reason 5 or something that I've been doing stuff with. It is, there you go. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a little of both, but it just depend on time.
You use your experience and your skill and your knowledge. So whether it's a piece of hardware or just on the computer, like that's what you're bringing to the table in terms of in terms of the mindset creation. And I think that
I have to say it is faster on the, like Myles said, on the computer, because sometimes I like to turn things on, leave them on for a bit. But then when I was actually thinking about that, like back in the days, I just recorded it straight to reel tape. And it was like, okay, you got to get the mix right the first time, or because you can't really go back and record on top of that because it's going to bleed through into the sound. Which if you listen to some of my old Sonic Mind records, you might even hear some hip hop beats
in the back
slightly underneath. That means I recorded on top of it, making a mistake.
This is in the back.
Yeah. Didn't even know.
Actually, I want to hear it. I want to hear something like that. I want to hear.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear. Okay, if you get the Collective Consciousness album, there's like I did 2 tracks on that one. It's an old release, but one of them I can hear it even when I hear the track. I hear this beat that I was making for this local rapper. It's like, and it plays through the whole track actually, but it's just like really.
But see, nobody else knows it there.
Nobody else know that.
I mean, how many times there's like something in a track that like you forgot to turn off or you left on or like whatever, and there's a little artifact or something, and you just keep it because it kind of it kind of works,
Yeah. I mean, that Ampex tape was costly back then, and you could squeeze about 5 songs on it if you did it right.
Yeah.
You could have like 5 tracks on that, on the spool of the reel. And we had this guy, he was selling that at a pretty good price out of his home because he would just take some reel off and spool it on and sell it to you separately. But you have to catch them on Friday. It was like almost catching the weed man. You had to catch this guy on Friday and I need some tape. It was horrible if he didn't have any. Oh man, I don't have any tape. You're like, oh, the whole weekend I can't even. So even if I get something good, I can't finish it really because I need the tape.
He said, I ain't got no tape, but I got this mini disc.
Yeah. It's like
what you got? What you want?
Yeah. So it's so easy, but with all these distractions now, because I had to like wean myself too off of social media and all these I'll try different things. Like, okay, let me go full day without even using my phone, and I saw just how addicted to it I was. Also, I even forced myself to read a whole book in one day, like nonstop. Like, okay, I said, let's see if you can go, because if you can't finish this book in a day, that means you're already lost. I did it, but it was my urges was like to get the phone open and stop for a moment and check something, and but after taking cold showers in the morning and doing meditation, it gets a little easier, because I was finding myself doing that with tracks too over the last couple of years, like starting something, getting something good going, and all of a sudden checking Instagram or something like that. And I said, this is getting in the way. This is really, really getting in the way, and it's disturbing the process.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to when you're making your tracks, do you come into that thing where you're like, do you tend to finish, like you start something, you're going to finish it right then, or like, hey, I'm going to come back to that a couple of days, or?
Yeah, so I'm like, I use it's, if anything, like producing, I'll go into the studio like bedroom with the Mahogany and I'll say to myself, first of all, it's mindset and headspace. I'll say to myself, all right, man, like this could be great, or you could just be throwing up bricks. But whatever you're gonna do your best. You know what I mean? Just get in here and just start like twiddling around, just kind of looping, start creating some sounds. And then from creating some sounds and creating like a little bit of a groove, okay, then it's like, then you start putting together some of the textures and maybe some of the atmospheres and some of the other things. And I'll do it in pieces where maybe like it's a session could be an hour or 2 hours, take a break, come back to it, take a break. And that's where that break, well, I'll check social media, I'll check stuff, but I try not to get too into it at that moment because I'm kind of in a groove. But if you lose the groove, it's okay, because you got a good start. I think it's about just getting that start. Once you get started in the studio, like it's you see it flowing. I'm not at 6 hours in this. It's just too much. So I'll do 1 to 2 hours, which is like very, very, it's attractive. It's palatable. It's possible. It's doable. You can actually do an hour in and it feels like you can accomplish a lot in an hour. And then a lot of times, sometimes I'll come from the gym. My mind will be kind of like in that my headspace. So then I'll just right away start working on something, because my mind is kind of like really kind of a good, like kind of buzzing. So in a good way. So I think like, but I tried, but yeah, man, it shouldn't take, for a track, I had writer's block on one, like in the winter. It took me a while. I gutted it for parts a few times. I restarted it. I did this. I finally got through that one, but I don't create a bunch of loops. I always finish the track.
Okay.
The biggest thing I'll tell a producer, the biggest advice I ever got, best advice I ever got, was I think the act of completion is probably the most important thing about being a producer, because everybody can create like a loop or a sound or something that they like. Finish the work, even if you have to go back to it in 6 months and be like, you have to change the arrangement, but have that feeling of like you're ready to move on and start a new live set or start something new, creatively, like a track, but finish your tracks. You know what I mean? Always finish your tracks. And so, with that in mind, like the one I worked on yesterday, I probably put in like a good 4 hours, and like, but scattered, an hour here, hour and a half here, 2 hours, an hour and a half here. And then I won't get to it today. Tomorrow's a little bit busy, but maybe tomorrow night I'll reopen. And it's actually good to take a day off, I think.
Fresh
ears, right? There's a fresh ears, and then you get to it. But then I'll have a goal in mind. Okay, I didn't do any of like my complementary sounds, or I did any of my effects. So this session is going to be, now I could throw out bricks, or it could come out like magic. But whatever it is, I'll do my best.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, all right, but that's what the goal is here. So that way I don't get caught up on like, all right, I want to change the bass groove in a second. Let's get some percussion in. Let's get some things in and make it a little bit more cohesive. And then you start working on it. And then you finish it up with a range and a couple things here and there that I kind of like, I'm done. And I actually bounce it down. I make, to complete that version of it. I may go back to it, make another version, and I'll bounce it down. But I always like V2, V3 like we always do and stuff. And so, but sometimes the best tracks are done just like the one yesterday. I feel really good about with all the sounds, and I'm excited to kind of get back to it. But I'm not in a rush because I know the next time I get back to it, I probably will finish it. You just know yourself as a producer. You know what I mean? You just know, you know where you're at, and so, and if you don't, that's okay. But it's just kind of like going in with like a goal, and then trying to execute on that. I think like producers, DJs, artists, the one thing I'd say is like bring a level of like compassion and empathy to the studio, because just because yesterday you crushed it, doesn't mean that today is going to be the same output. Sometimes it's actually the complete opposite. Like you had this amazing session, you're on cloud 9, and you go back in and it's like, you're just throwing up bricks. Just like, I can't get anything to work. None of this is working, and you're like, what just happened? So you have to be good to yourself about this.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's very true.
So,
yeah. All right. So, I guess my last question, at least, what advice would you give to any up and coming DJ / producer and that's coming up?
I mean, I think like with producers, I think I would say it's advice I got from Phil Maffa. You guys know Phil. In New York, Pusha Sound Studio. He's a great producer, great DJ. He's a professor actually of music, and he's worked with a lot of he does stuff with Seth Troxler. He also does like techno stuff. I mean, he's an amazing guy. But he told me from advice he got from DJ Spider, and Spider said to him, and I use this everything is. Because Phil was like, Deepak, you want to know what the secret is? And I'm like, yeah, Phil, tell me the secret, because I'm in the studio, we're listening to stuff. Some sounds good, some doesn't, whatever. But he's like, here's the number one thing. You ready? I'm like, yeah. Tell me, Phil, like enlighten me. And he's like, all right, make 100 tracks. Then you make 100 more. And that's it. That was his advice. That was the advice. And he got that. I think he got that. And so I use that because you make 100 tracks and make 100 more. And I think if you go through like what that, the interpretation of that was, just has to be this sort of consistency with the approach and your workflow and your mindset and all this stuff, and being a professional about it, and in order to do this, you have to just take the reps. You want to be great at basketball, you got to just you got to shoot 1,000,000 times. You know what I mean? How many these guys will go still, how many shots do they take in practice and on their own, and still in games they shoot 30%. That's good. 40%, that's considered good.
Right.
Baseball, if you bat 300, you're a god. I mean, 7 times it doesn't work, but how many reps are they taking, right? So you might make tracks, make 100, most of them may not even be anything that you're super happy about, but by keep doing it and the act of completion, by finishing your track, you move on to the next one. It just gives you something mentally, physically, emotionally about like your identity as a producer is continuing to take shape and form. And so make 100 tracks, then make 100 more, and finish your tracks. This is how things, I think, kind of like elevate and grow and escalate, and it gives you confidence. A lot of this stuff is just confidence based. And it's the same thing even with like, if you're DJing and stuff like that, like, sometimes with vinyls, what I would do is just grab vinyls that you just grab a batch, and like that you haven't played in a while, and play only the B-sides and make it work. You know what I mean? Like kind of push, like test yourself, even if it's house tracks, techno tracks, all this, but just play the B-sides and just play tracks you haven't played before and see if you can put something in together.
Right.
Like if you actually limit yourself in some ways as a DJ, because the more selection and choice you have, the more you want to use the effects. You know what? Mix an hour not using any EQs, just volume. See how that sounds. You're so gung-ho on 3 decks, 4 decks, whatever it is. Do that. Just keep all the EQs at noon. See how you make it sound. See if you can blend the right types of tracks, right types of sounds, right types of keys together without using any effects, like strip things down to like a couple of things. And if you can get that, then imagine when someone gives you like all the whole palette to use and everything to use, you'll appreciate it, and it'll escalate it. You don't want to lean in on that. Make tracks, just use a few things. That's why like the gear questions are kind of funny for me, because it's like, for me, it's so simple, because I just use a couple of things and just make a couple of things nice, and you're good, and then finish it.
All right.
And then I move on to the next one. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the advice I would give, if that's helpful.
Yeah. No, that's good. Finish some finisher. Be a finisher. Derek May told me that too a long time ago. I remember him saying, okay, you can start a song, but can you finish it? And me being young, what is he talking about?
It's hard.
Just thinking, why is he saying that to me? Can I finish the song? I do finish songs, it was a lot easier to finish there, because you're just pushing buttons on the sequencer and hitting record without thinking much. As you said, it was a lot of stuff being done like that, but with the computer, it tends to make me think a little bit more. And unless I set it up how I had to set up in the 90s, and I can work that way, because it is very possible. But I really love that advice. Be a finisher. It's good that soon I'll be going on. I don't know if you know Zoid. He has this kind of like master class, and he has students come on, and his next show that he's going to be doing is exactly that, like showing you how to finish tracks. So I will be a guest on his show again.
I mean, it's amazing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just trying to say, maybe because he's from Ireland, maybe you heard of him, but pretty popular guy. He's got some releases out, but yeah, it's just funny you mentioned that, and I was like, that's the show I'm going to be going on.
Finishing it.
Yeah, he's going to have a few series of it going into October, so it's not going to just be one show. It's going to be a few lessons about it, and he said, yeah, please just sit in and listen, and maybe you can get some advice here and there. But you just said the biggest advice right there: finish, and also like your boy, that we both know, told you, make 100 songs, then make 100 more.
That's it, man. I'm telling you, man. Like that's all. Like that's it. Like so, Spider's out there, man. Thank you. And Phil, he always laughs at this because he knows, he's like, this resonated with me, and so whenever I see him, make 100 more, And I think like it's the only way, man. You gotta take the reps, and you gotta
get the reps in.
So like the loops that you're creating, these are all great, tie it together. Derek was right. You know what I mean? Like, can you write a song? And by the way, in the act of completion, you may go back to it in 6 months and change the arrangement. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were willing to kind of like put a bow on it in that moment, and it felt complete in that moment, that's going to do more for you as a producer than any equipment and anything, because you finished it.
Yeah.
And you can move on to the next one, and you open up a clean slate, and you're just going to start fresh.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you finish that one, you're going to start fresh. And then next thing you know, you have like 10 tracks that you wrote, 15 tracks you wrote. You know what I mean? You go back, you're going to change this arrangement. You're going to change, this one's a little muddy or whatever, But complete it. Like, that's my biggest advice. Complete your tracks.
And you also don't know who might like it too, because I mean, that was a situation with because you mentioned Seth's name, with him being from Kalamazoo. I did a release for his Tuskegee label, and it was like that. It was just some tracks I had finished, and I wasn't really thinking nothing of them, and he liked them, and I was just kind of like, really, is this what you want? Okay. I had some other stuff, but it was in that phase of when I was doing the same like you, just making tracks and then stacking them, putting them on the side, just to stay, as you said, like stay ready and sharp. Now, what's slowing me down now actually is like let's learn, like relearning, because once you learn something, Ableton or some other thing, then you're ready to go. But now I have to like sort of relearn a lot of apps in the iPad. But the more I learn them, the more creative I feel I will be. Just being able to be so mobile.
Yeah.
We take that experience, and then you just, you put it in caps. You just like, you level it up a little bit. You supersize. right?
Mhm.
So you takes your skill sets and it just kind of puts a little gloss on it. You know what I mean? By learning, by relearning some of this stuff, it keeps it fresh and new. And I mean, that's right. You know what I mean? That's kind of the key of producing too. I would say another piece of advice is like, it's kind of like it's endless. It's not like a sport where like, you know, you got these 4 years to make it big and then get to this. It's like, no, man, you're a producer. You're just a producer. You're always writing. And I think that's where like my DSC project, where I got these 36 tracks that I released and I'm going to do this. Because I'm in this workflow but I wrote a lot during COVID and before COVID. And during COVID, I just wrote a lot. So these are all like kind of tracks, even some of these tracks that I'm kind of like releasing now, or they're on other labels and stuff, or stuff that maybe they're like newer versions and, you know, edits and stuff. But they were all made and they're all kind of just collected just, you know, during that time. So, so if you can't get to writing 5 tracks a month, just, you know, it kind of comes in bursts and stuff. So, but so just be consistent, you know. But that's awesome about like the learning and keep learning. And same thing here. I mean, I watch tutorials, I watch this. Sometimes I kind of have to pause that and stop it. Otherwise, I'll just kind of like, I don't think like Myles, man. I can't do that, you know. Or I don't think how Donnell does.
Yeah.
And, you know, so
I don't think that way at all. Oh man. Well, man, it's been great, man.
Yes, it has.
Meet and not person, but person. So my plan is, I don't know when, so if I ever get that way, we definitely got to link up. I know.
Yeah, man. You can just stay here. Just if you, I mean, they'll probably get you in a hotel and stuff, but which you should do. But if you want to stay a few extra days and stuff, and then just hang out and just kick it, I'll take you out.
Because I know, when I last spoke to Victoria, she talked on she may be that way, and if she, I don't know if it happens or not, she's gonna keep me updated. But if she does,
she's here a lot. And when she was here last year, I was in Berlin last year. She stayed here. She stays here. You know, sometimes when she's here. Shout out to Victoria, great DJ, good friend.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the queen, and so just you know, like I to me, it's about community, relationships, connection, and stuff like that. You know, same with you, D. If you find yourself in New York, or you just want to kick it for a couple of days because the hotels here could be kind of whatever, just let me know, man.
I can imagine.
You know, and if I'm in Europe, I'll probably be in Europe next month. I mean, it's a pretty easy flight out from Berlin to Warsaw and stuff like that, even just to kick it for a night, you know, and stuff like that. So this is how this stuff works, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So let me know how I can help, man.
Yeah, same. If anything, our way too, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, like when my story earlier, like that's what it was. That kicked off that remix, kicked off my second label. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, I still want to make music. I'm not doing it. Also, that birthed that. So, and then I'll send you a link of the tracks because I know you probably haven't heard of it. I'll send you a link to the first EP. That was basically that whole damn session. So,
I want it. Yeah, I love it, man. I love like that gives me chills because it's just like I know since that remix what you've done, and you know, and it's like, man, that's kind of a cool moment in time that you remember it like that.
Yeah,
and I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you sharing. That means a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So what you got coming up? Let the people know what you got coming up, and then where they can find you.
Yeah, so if social media wise, Instagram is kind of like the only kind of the place I'm at. And I have these DSC projects upcoming. Look for that probably in the fall. If you just go to my Bandcamp, if you go to there's all the DSCs listed there. SoundCloud, I just did a mix for Osmium Lab, which is based in Germany. And then before that, Different Sounds, which is in June, I did a mix for them. So just want to listen to some mixes, recent stuff that I've been playing, stuff that inspires me. And there's some luminaries in there, but then mixed in with some, kind of newer names for me at least, and maybe some more consistent names recently. So there's some mixes out there that are live, very recent. I'm always I did the CLR thing for Chris back in December, so that one's always kind of good at fall back and go back to that one. That's stuff I think I think I used tracks only before 2005 on that, 2004 on that, and I loved it. That's one of my favorite mixes. So I asked people to kind of check that out, go back to that. I did a vinyl set on her last year, so if you want to hear like some of the stuff when I played at places like Tresor, Birdman, like I played a lot of those records in that hour set, or a few of those records in that hour set, and then upcoming gig wise, it's a little bit quiet. Couple things in the hopper, and but I'm looking forward to maybe possibly getting out to Chicago, New York, of course. But I'd say production wise, DSC, Deepak Sharma collection, that's coming. That's numbers 37 to whatever are going to be coming out. We'll get those out. And then a track is coming out on this label down in Argentina. So that's just for their VA, which would be good. So couple tidbits here and there. And then like the big thing will come in the fall.
Cool. All right. Well, let's give it up. Deepak Sharma, bro. Thank you. It was great, man. It was great.
Dude, you guys are the best, man. You guys are the best. So appreciate you both. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all the great questions. And like, man, I hope to see you guys in person, either New York or Warsaw or in Detroit at some point.
For sure.
Yeah, we're gonna be in touch, man.
Let's
do it, man.
Be in touch.
Yeah, that's how this stuff works. So appreciate you thinking of me and bringing me on and all that, and looking forward to continuing our friendship and all that. So
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, most def, man. Most
all
def.
Right. We're gonna let you get out of here so you can go get ready to root for that team.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. All right. Yeah. We'll catch up soon. But appreciate you both. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro.
Okay, bro.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Give it up again, y'all. All right. Be safe out there.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Peace. Woo.
Another one for the books.
Yeah, it is, man. I like this thing that people don't, I have a few people like, yeah, I like the show. I like the show too, because it allows us to like meet people that we admire and we haven't really, got the chance to actually know or people we do know that we don't know the whole story, or you know what I mean? So it's good, man. I think we're doing a good thing here.
We're doing a great thing. Talking to these people. It's easier with both of us doing it as well. And they talk to us. Oh yeah, this is cool. And I think we got a great personality to make them open up and talk to us. I feel like it's because we could be doing this stuff in private as well, talking with them. But this is great that we haven't recorded, go back later and listen to it.
Yeah.
Other people, but yeah, it's wonderful talking. And it's nice that some of these people know us, know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, some don't know, but some know. They really know, like the past, the history. And they say some awesome things because like a lot of these people are saying things on the show that I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's a good, yep. Yeah, that's a good idea. Like what he said today about making those tracks, it's easier said than done because it's all about focus and what you're willing to do. Are you willing to sit there and make those tracks like we did back in the days? Those times we wanted to go out and socialize and do stuff, but at some point we had to, we got to hit record and be done with it and, finish the song and not go out or something. So
yeah,
now I just know my biggest mistake has just been social media, and the phone and picking it up and checking messages and whatnot. And then after doing that, get tired and the song didn't get finished, for example. But because he said it, now I'll even push the pedal to the metal even more now. Like, how can I even, just what else has to go to make sure that gets done?
Right. Yeah. I mean, each and every interview, I learned something about this person or just stuff I didn't think about. Like today, his advice was great because I was like, wow, I never thought of that like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's the cool thing. So to learn different stuff. And that's what this whole thing is for, to learn. You know, to learn and to continue to learn. It's a continuous thing. And I think people like him and other artists that we have on here, just people in general, that, it's a good thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So let's move on for a quick second. So,
still out
pushing this, man. I seen on the Bandcamp site, it got the releases on the 24th. I believe. So.
Oh, and also I got to send you a link because there was a online thing that reviewed this, but your release is there too. They reviewed yours.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Tim sent me. It was either Def Techno or this other one, but I clicked because it showed like all the releases they reviewed, and yours was there. Your most recent one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So yeah, July 24th, which is actually my birthday.
Yep. The day you having the party, yeah.
Yes, for sure. Tim Xavier and D-KNOX Soul Craft EP is out on July 24th. At least that's what's published. But if you haven't heard this, there's clips floating around as premieres on SoundCloud on different platforms. Go check it out. This is actually it's a really dope release. The collaboration between the two is quite unique. So you guys go check that out. For me, Hakeem, friend of the show, he's doing remixes for his my favorite track from him is Black Robots Having Sex. It's kind of crazy because Hakeem's crazy. Dope track. It was out on Dan Curtin's label, Metamorphic, back in 2009, I believe.
Okay.
Something like that. But it's a dope track, so he did remixes. So it's me, Christian Rao. Yeah, that's right. I think I got that right. Yeah, no, Christopher Rao, my fault. Oof, Myles, you're getting old. I am getting old. Me, Christopher Rao, and then Hakeem actually remixed my remix. So it's kind of a different thing. But it should be coming out this month on his label, Endeavor Prints. And you can go to Endeavor Prints at bandcamp.com to go check it out. When we get more info on that, we'll definitely be pushing that. So, but so far, the stuff I heard is going to be dope. So I like it. As we spoke before, next week is my birthday. Next weekend, next week, July 24th, actually Friday. But this party is not. So I will be here. Our friend Joshua Tree, his resident at Crush at Speaker Box, Friday, July 24th. Josh is playing with a secret special guest that's going to be coming in town too. So I'll be there to see both of them. My birthday actually, and Josh's birthday was like a week ago, so he's celebrating that too. So it's going to be a big party, y'all, somewhat. So if you're in Detroit, come down to Speaker Box downstairs in the basement at Crush. Starts at 10 p.m. Friday, July 24th. I think there is a $10 cover charge, but yo, it's worth it. So go check that out. And I gotta turn this off. So this is the day that I'm celebrating my birthday. Saturday, secret location, July 25th in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Tickets are on sale right now at Resident Advisor. If you go to RA, it's there. If you go to my page on RA, you can see what's coming up, how you get to it. It's right there. But yeah, secret location, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Next Saturday. Line up Laura Endorf, friend of the show, Chicago Skyway, Joshua Tree, Nuntus Noctus, aka Mike Ned, and myself. And another special secret guest that's coming that we won't name right now. But it's going to be a dope show. Tickets on sale again at Resident Advisor. You can also get it at the door. Location will be announced the day of the event. So it's kind of one of them things. But $20 at the door. And to continue that celebration, our girl Laura Endorf is going to be at Backwards Compatible Record Store in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Sunday, July 26th at 3 p.m. She's doing an end store. So go there, check it out. Backwards Compatible, 2024 Eastern Avenue, Southeast in Grand Rapids. She's going to be there. It's going to be dope. While you're there, listen to some sounds and buy some records, y'all. It's a dope little store that just popped up not too long ago. So go there, show some support. And speaking of support, you can book me and D through Position 2 Bookings. That is Position 2 Bookings. Artist is me, myself, FBK, plural, Joshua Tree, Laura, Chicago Skyway. Mike Darrell. Now we just got your boy Tim Xavier on board, so I got to update this. But yeah, good label. I mean, not good label. Excuse me. Good agency among friends, you know what I'm saying? So you want this, we are established people on here, so it's a good agency. Roberto Ingram's on there too. So go check it out. Position 2 bookings. It's there. Check it out. You can also, since we're doing this thing, go over to Donnell's label, the Bandcamp page for Sonic Mind Records. Pick up some music, new releases, old releases, secret releases, whenever he wants to put there. It's there. D, tell him about it.
You guys already know. Just head on over there and pick what you want. There will be more stuff to come. I just have been a little lazy and haven't added some more material, but I will get around to it, especially when I see some of the sales pick up.
Yeah, let's get those sales,
guys.
People. Get over there, pick up some music. Sonic Mind Records, Bandcamp. There you go, y'all. And also, we mentioned my podcast, Somewhere In podcast on my. I gotta get this on a regular page, but Somewhere In, y'all. It's on my SoundCloud page and a playlist. Go over there, check it out. You won't be disappointed. And since you're checking out other stuff, make sure you head over to the Decisive Podcast series. This is Roberto Ingram's podcast, y'all. Good interviews, kind of different from what we do. A little bit more in depth, but he gets deep because, pause, that's what he does. With his guest. So go over there, Decisive Podcast series over there on YouTube. While you're there, like, share, and subscribe. His channel too. We all family here. Like to spread the love. Next up, we will be back on Sunday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. CET, which is Central European Time. Bunja B will be joining us. That is Sunday, August 2nd, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, 8 p.m. CET on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So check us out. Check this out. It's going to be a great time, y'all. Great time. Great time. Oh, so yeah. Before you do that, we got to do the closing stuff. But yeah, I forgot to do this too. So at the end, you guys know we have this little reel that says, check out our sponsors. These are our friends and our current non-sponsor sponsors, but
yes,
we promote our friends. So to your left, that is my homegirl Mo Love, Melissa. She owns Lincoln Street Soap. So go over to her page and buy some soap. That is LincolnStreetSoap.com. Use promo code MSLive and get a discount. I forgot what the discount amount is. I think it's 15%, but you can go there. And to the right there is my homeboy Mark Daniels. He is Pound Michigan Beer. Go to his site. It's poundmichiganbeer.com. Mark basically does like beer reviews and just beer related stuff. And it's crazy because Deepak was actually here because Mark is actually a tennis. He's not a tennis pro, but he's an avid tennis player and fan. He went to school for tennis too. So I kind of wish that he would have joined because I think you guys would have a lot in common. But go check them out. These are our people. So when you hear us say, hey, check out the sponsor reel or people we support at the end, these are two of the people there. So go check them out. Just wanted to give y'all some shouts out and loves and let the people see who you actually are. Yeah. So if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Don't cost you nothing, lets people know we're here. Hit it, y'all. Hit it. Subscribe, please. Like I said earlier, we are currently at 677. We need to get that to 1,000, y'all. So let's try to get that going, y'all. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. You can also follow us on Instagram, MS Live with D-KNOX. That's MS Live with D-KNOX on Instagram and Twitter. now known as X, MS Live with D-KNOX. You can also, as D like to do this, to let y'all know, email us at mslifewithdknox@gmail.com for any concerns, complaints, praises, topic suggestions, guest suggestions, anything. Feedback, y'all. Feedback. Email us, mslifewithdknox@gmail.com. You can also support the show. The QR code is gone right now, but
you know where it usually is.
Where that? Yeah. PayPal, y'all. You want to donate to us on PayPal? That's good. That's mslifewithdknox@gmail.com. That is the address to use. And I'm going to pop it up again too. That QR code, if you see it, you can scan it. It does take you directly to the PayPal donation page. So that's there. I'll leave it up for up until now. All right. D, I love this. I wait for this like every week that we do a show because I'm trying to see what's going to happen. Are you going to blow up or the lightning bolts are going to come or something? So
they come. It's weird because they come when they want to come. Like sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. It's just, it even surprises me sometimes when it happens. But people to take you out, we just want to reiterate what our man said today. Finish them songs. Make 100, plus 100, plus 100, plus 100 until you can start getting asses in the seat, like TK Kirkland says. Yep. Finish that stuff, and then use your hands for the power. See? Sometimes they don't.
What's going on, man?
Sometimes they do it. Sometimes they don't. Depends on when the universe is ready to do it. Sometimes this thing is maybe it's doing that when there's somebody that is listening and they really need the extra power, and that's why it's like making these boats and everything.
Yeah, I got you, man. Oh, one quick thing too. DJ Spider, man, if you out there, hit us up, bro. I was actually thinking about you about a week or two. So hit us up, and it's kind of crazy. He went full circle when he brought your name up. So get at us, man. I like to get you on here too, bro. Because you peeps, man, and you got a good story behind you. So
there you go, Spider Man.
Spider, we calling MS Live. Come on, hit us up, bro. Hit us up. So Dean took us out. So until then, again, I'll say watch the end of the reel for the sponsors. And quick. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in this world today, right now, y'all. Just everywhere. So the best advice I can get, it's not even advice, it's something that everybody should do. Take care of each other, look out for each other, love each other. We are one, man. We all can't survive without each other, so let's just keep it that way. Remember that. Spread the love, y'all. That being said, see you in 2 weeks. And if you happen to be in Grand Rapids next week, go to my party. All right? Peace.